The following is a presentation of the High Spot Podcast. Making their way to the ring, talking about the world of professional wrestling, the team of Jeff Martin and the Trendsetter, Brian Perga, the Jersey Wrecking Crew.
And you are listening to the High Spot Podcast alongside my tag team partner, the scoundrel Jeff Martin. I am the Trendsetter, Brian Perga, getting ready for Hell in a Cell. And also we're going through our top Hell in a Cell matches as we preview it for this Sunday here. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Also, you can listen to us on iTunes, where all other podcasts are available as well. You can listen to us on the Shining Wizards and also bodyslam.net, thehighspotpodcast.com. Follow everything High Spot Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We will be there for you, and you'll get all the shenanigans which what the Jersey Right crew can bring you guys. Getting excited for Hell in a Cell, Jeff, this Sunday, only a couple days away. We also had a historic event happen on Wednesday. AEW Dynamite debuted. I mean, a lot of things happening, and I feel like I always repeat myself here over and over again, the world of professional wrestling. But you know what? What's really exciting is that we're finally back from a little hiatus. Jeff, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I don't say that often. It'll be the only time I'll say it to your face one more time. How have you been, man?
I am good, dude. What a week of wrestling, huh? What a week. Highly anticipated, and we're going to do our Hell in a Cell here, preview, and of course our top matches from Hell in a Cell. So we got that for you. You got the AEW reaction show that's also there for you guys to check out on Wednesday. So, man, lots going on, man. Monday Night Raw kicked it off, and Hell in a Cell we go, man. Here we go for the preview.
Well, let's just do a little backtrack real quick. I just want to get your opinion. What did you think of Raw? How it came out? Kind of they called it the season premiere of Raw. Brand new set, guys. And it looks like they're going in a lot of different angles. We won't dissect every single one, but just from an all-around performance for a season debut, which is now Raw on the USA Network and trying to give it a new look, how'd you think they did?
Well, I mean, again, everyone gets caught up on the set. I mean, to me, you know, it was nice. But everything was okay. And then, you know, came that controversial Lana, Rusev, and Bobby Lashley thing. And I had no problem with it. I just think that...
we all wish we were Bobby Lashley.
Of course. But I think that the issue is that, you know, there's so much that you can do with Rusev, and to have him do that and then have him not do anything at the end, just watch his wife, you know, kissing another man. I think that's what left the sour taste, especially in guys' mouths too, you know, because, you know, you got to go up there and, you know, stand up for yourself, man. You just can't let some dude kiss your wife. So I think that was the main issue. You know, people are going to say, oh, it was tasteless. Oh, it's WWE being, you know, Attitude Era, whatever, but that's what you kind of wanted, right? That is Attitude Era stuff. So
that's what people were asking for all these years. They hated the PG type of thing. This was obviously different from that. I mean, it wasn't as raunchy as people might take it, as the fact that it's just two individuals kissing. Like, we've never seen that before on YouTube or seen that on TV. So I thought it was kind of weird, though. I thought they did a pretty good job. I think they just went in a lot of directions. Again, similar to what we've been dealing with before, where previous Raws before, they weren't going anywhere. You're kind of wondering where are these characters going. Now it seems like everyone's jumping back and forth. So, you know, great start by Brock Lesnar, establishing the fact that this guy is a monster. I don't think anybody's forgotten the dominance, which is Brock Lesnar, what he did to Rey Mysterio and he did to his son Dominic. It gives you that kind of feeling that you weren't expecting. Now leading all to, obviously, what happened to the end of Raw. I think you know, it's a brand new thing, so they want to kind of be different than what they've been promoting for so many years. Now that Raw will be on the USA Network, SmackDown Live will be on Fox, and then we have NXT on the USA Network on Wednesdays. So it's going to be interesting now to see how these shows will generally separate themselves. But with all that happening now, which leads to what they've been building up storyline-wise before this whole thing happened with the USA Network, Fox, and now NXT on the USA Network being live for 1 hour, live on the network, is Hell in a Cell, man. And it's amazing, Jeff, that we're dissecting Hell in a Cell, and we'll talk about the matches, their stuff here. But the historical factor, Jeff, how long Hell in a Cell has been in existence. Before it was ever called a pay-per-view, the mere fact that you're going to watch two individuals in this structure that was so barbaric, never been seen before, and now to see the history and the legacy behind the Hell in a Cell chamber, or not chamber, but Hell in a Cell cage, has been something that, you know, we'll dive into and talk about. But are you looking forward to the events here? We have 3 matches set up right now that we know are going to definitely definitely happen. Matches will be updated later on, obviously, as we lead into Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, probably they're going to save them for tonight's Friday Night SmackDown on Fox TV. So, that's probably where we're going to get the other matches. But it's weird. They usually have them all ready for you to dissect. So 3 matches here, so it gives a lot of time to get into the history of Hell in a Cell. So I kind of was inspired to do a retrospective of Hell in a Cell too, and of course it originated at Bad Blood in St. Louis at the Kiel Center. That place has so much history. Of course, St. Louis, a hotbed for wrestling, and so much about that place too. Because not only did you see Shawn Michaels versus Taker, but a lot of people, and I was watching that show Untold on the network, and that really talked about the whole debut of Kane. That's got to be Kane. And then you saw The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. They talked about the lead up to that matchup and that rivalry, which was one of the best rivalries in the history of wrestling. And so I'm looking at that, and then of course that was also the time that Brian Pillman had passed away.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff there for Bad Blood. You could do a podcast if you wanted to on that, but we're going to go into Hell in a Cell. So you've got your preview and a retrospective.
Yeah, so let's talk about the preview right now. Let's talk about the one where people are debating. Jeff, I've seen on the Twitter sphere, and I've seen on Instagram people talking about debating what should be the main event of Hell in a Cell. I think that's besides the point. I don't think it really matters. I think it's just kind of hearsay. People want to talk and discuss it. But let's talk about the one that's been building up the most. The one I think will be the main event for Hell in a Cell, and that's The Fiend Bray Wyatt against Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Now, there's no question Seth Rollins has been a fighting champion, Jeff, and what Bray Wyatt has done with the character, The Fiend, and kind of recreating himself and reinventing himself, more importantly, with these vignettes he's been doing, and then leading up to his match with Finn Balor, which he destroyed Finn Balor, which is why we haven't been seeing him on TV for quite some time. My thing to you is, before we talk about the match itself, do you think it's too soon for Bray Wyatt to be put in that main event picture? Because the thing is, you're trying to build this character, so if you put him in this scenario now, it's either Universal Championship or nothing right now, and if he doesn't win it, doesn't that just detract the character even further?
Yeah, there are other ways to go with the Bray Wyatt character, The Fiend. What
was your initial thoughts when you knew he was going to be put in the title picture?
Too soon. So there were other ways to go about it. They wanted the instant gratification and having this matchup. So you kind of do have to go all in on Bray Wyatt. So anything short of winning that matchup, to me, would be a huge step down for that character. And they pushed it like crazy. It's been on TV, and everyone loves it. It's something new, unique, and I think that
definitely different.
It really is. And so I think that while it's too soon, they better be all on board with Bray here, because any kind of loss or anything making him look weak will really set back that character.
Is there a way, do you think, right now, before we decide who's going to win this match, I think I kind of know where you're leaning towards, is there a way you could save it where Bray could not walk out of Hell in a Cell as the champion, still be looking on the good side of it as we're building him further and further to be more this dominant force?
Yeah, well, I thought Brock attacking Rey Mysterio and Dominic, I thought somehow that Brock was going to get involved, maybe cost Seth the title, or maybe the mystery opponent that was going to come out was going to beat Seth before, so it'd be a non-title matchup heading into Hell in a Cell. Mm-hmm. That character doesn't need the title.
Not right now, at least.
It would just be weird, but if you go on the internet, you see a lot of people who've drawn up a Fiend Universal Championship, which looks really good, and so I get it. And though
the last thing we need, I'm sure W would want more replica titles of different versions. You had the Skull Belt, you had
it's all about money,
People's
though.
title, it's all about money, so I'm sure they would want it. But in terms of, as a fan, the last thing you want is a new retro version of the Universal title. But no,
yeah, unless he hurts him really bad and there's some kind of like you like to say, shenanigans that happens, but I think it has to be domination by Bray here. I really do. And it's just weird that you have the champion, the babyface, kind of like be really scared of the Fiend, you know? And Bray has gotten the best out of Seth Rollins here the last coming weeks. So it's going to be interesting what happens when we head into this matchup here, because like I said before, it's boom or bust here with Bray Wyatt and this character. Anything short of annihilation of Seth Rollins, and I think it's going to hurt the character. Can they do something to, for there to be like a unclean finish? I'm not sure, man. I really don't know what the scenario would be, but gotta protect that character, man. It's a moneymaker. It's doing really well. Anything to hinder it right now would just be counterproductive.
I've discussed with several people about this, Jeff, and I've spoken to you to agree about it too. What concerns me is not necessarily, of course, what you've been talking about now. Is it too soon for the character to be there? There have been rumors for the fact that they actually want Bray Wyatt to finish off the Undertaker and let that be the way where Undertaker gets set off. If that's true or not, I really don't know. We always thought initially Bray Wyatt was the second coming of the Undertaker, and to some degree never really fulfilled itself to come to fruition. But with this, I'm not necessarily in terms of, it's already laid out there. He's in the title picture. There's no way of pulling back now. But my biggest thing with Bray Wyatt, Jeff, I don't know if you agree with me or not here, is the fact that he was impressive against Finn Balor. But when you put him, Bray Wyatt, toe-to-toe with Finn Balor, of course he's going to look menacing. He's going to look dominant. He's going to look gigantic. He's going to look bigger because Finn Balor is the smaller guy. You put him up against Seth Rollins, they're roughly the same size. You put him against a Randy Orton. Randy Orton is taller and bigger, more imposing than Bray Wyatt or a.k.a. The Fiend.
Well, he could be bigger, but look at what the wardrobe of Bray Wyatt. That is intimidating. He is a big dude. He is a got to be 280. He's still a very bulky guy too, though. So this thing about what you don't believe in the character, because
I believe in the character. I don't believe in the appearance, because as much as you want to talk about the mask and how cool that looks, yes, it looks cool when the lights are turned off and they're blinking and you hear that stupid little sound effect, which annoys me. It feels like
it is kind of annoying.
It was annoying after a while. It's kind of outlived itself. But still, that effect is great. But when you get it bell to bell, it's still the same Bray Wyatt. When I saw him against The Undertaker back at WrestleMania, I believe it was 31, he didn't look that imposing to me in terms of, when you look at The Undertaker, you look at Kane, for example. I know they had him give the mandible claw to Kane. They had him give the mandible claw to Braun Strowman. I get it. But at the same time, if you see toe-to-toe and then pitted together, I'm just saying he doesn't. Despite the fact his attire looks impressive, he doesn't look like that intimidating force to me.
Yeah,
that could be unstoppable.
I will have to disagree with you on that one. I really think that he does. I think that he was very ominous against The Undertaker at 31. I would say that, when he does that kind of spider-looking thing, he is menacing. I think that I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, Trendsetter. I think that the Fiend character, I think maybe the whole Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt isn't intimidating, but this.
No, I think that's fine to serve its purpose. We've been known he's done vignettes like this before, but not in a different light. I get it. I'm just saying that the presence of the Fiend, despite how colorful his attire is, to me is not menacing. Is not intimidating to me. The mask is cool looking. I get it, but when you get him pitted against an Undertaker, obviously Undertaker's very old at this point right now. He's got two bad hips, but you put him against a guy roughly larger than him, it loses that allure, it loses that appeal, it loses that factor of, wow, this guy is unstoppable type of scenario.
No, I don't see that one there, Trendsetter. When you put...
Well, then you're blind, basically,
because
you don't want to admit the logistics of seeing things pitted...
Logistics, we're not talking about here directions here, whatever. We're talking about between two guys here. You're going to tell me Baron Corbin, this tall dude with a crown, is more ominous than Bray Wyatt, who is a bulky kind of guy, stocky guy with the Fiend mask?
Well, if you want to compare it to the fact that our good friend Brad Shepard, in terms of if you want to look who's been more successful, who's been more good with their character, it's been Baron Corbin. He's been more. You get more reaction from him in terms of him being a jerk and an asshole to a degree, and that works.
That's a great job. But is he ominous? Is he ominous at all, or is he more of a sometimes can be a comedic figure as well?
What?
You don't find any comedy in Baron Corbin?
No, I don't find any comedy in him whatsoever.
So you find him coming out in that ridiculous crown and robe. You find that ominous and not the Fiend.
I'm not talking about him in his King of the Ring attire, Jeff, okay? And here's the thing. I know logic is a difficult thing to talk about in wrestling, but here's the thing. You put two individuals, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in the ring together. Who looks to be more intimidating? Randy Orton. I mean, if you want to talk about you don't see it, then obviously you need a new prescription of glasses, because if you look and you literally see The Fiend in his cool mask and whatever, standing toe-to-toe against a guy like Braun Strowman, you're going to tell me I'm more concerned about him? Here's the difference. You're going to say, oh, but what about The Undertaker? He had more ominous people. He had more people that, more intimidating. Giant Gonzalez, Big Show, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, but Undertaker himself was not he's 6-something, right? He's 6'5", 6'6".
Who?
Undertaker.
Like 6'10".
6'10", right?
Yeah.
So he's 6'10". Bray Wyatt is roughly around 6'3",
6'2".
Yeah, so there's a difference in terms of visually what you're looking at here. That's the only point I'm making here. Visually, it's different. It doesn't look any different to me. So that's all I'm saying here. And so to me, that's what I'm concerned about the character. You're pushing him too far, and from a visual standpoint, yes, it looks cool, but to me, it's not intimidating. It's not, oh my goodness, look at this ominous force. He's going to destroy me. No, he's just an ordinary-sized guy within that division. And other guys are bigger than him.
Was Mankind this big dude where you didn't think he was ominous?
Mankind carried himself differently than what Bray Wyatt does. Mankind never carried himself as an intimidating factor like The Undertaker. Mankind was this demonic, demented guy.
Isn't that what Bray Wyatt is doing right now?
No, they're pushing Bray Wyatt as a demented guy, but as this dominant force that you knock down, he immediately sits back up like The Undertaker. That's not the kind of guy he's supposed to be.
Well,
the reason why he liked Mankind is because he could take punishment and keep coming. He was this freak of nature that kept coming after you no matter what you did to him. That's not the character Bray Wyatt's playing. Bray Wyatt's playing this
dominant
guy, and he's not a dominant guy.
Well, I just think we view the character differently. I just think
that's fair.
Yeah,
you can't tell me you don't visually see it though. That's it. You can't tell me you don't visually see a difference though. From what a Mankind did to what an Undertaker does.
So you're telling me that Mankind didn't belong in the ring with The Undertaker?
Did I say that? No, I said he carried... I feel like there's a lost translation. You're not listening to me. He carries the character differently, Mankind, than what he did, as opposed to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is not a dominant guy.
So you don't see that's believable. I think it's believable.
Yeah, I don't see it as believable.
Okay. So we have a difference of opinion there. For once, thank God.
Yeah, for once, thank God, and get new prescription
and you
glasses.
spent way too much time on this too, though. By the way,
yeah, but the first time.
But getting back to those Seth and Bray Wyatt, though, when it comes to the outcome here, you're talking about how forward I'm looking for this match. This has been one of the worst to me builds as far as the pay-per-view. Only 3 matches. And you know what? If anything else, there's no outcome. Everybody wants Bray to win. Everyone believes that he should win. Anything less will be, like I said, a hindrance to the character. So I'm excited about this Hell in a Cell only if they continue to push Bray Wyatt and make this character believable, and he keeps terrorizing Seth, and he should become the new Universal Champion. I don't see any other way they do this here. If Seth wins, then he wins, and then that character to me, then that character loses a lot of momentum.
So you have Bray Wyatt winning on this one. I actually was leaning towards your direction, but now the way it's being set up, the way it's being built up, I have a feeling, and the WWE has done this to us before many times, Jeff. I have a feeling that Seth Rollins will walk out as the Universal Champion. Some schmaz, something going on. They're going to try to protect Bray as much as they can, but I think if you do this, regardless of whatever ways you try to protect him, it's only going to hurt the character, like you said, and we'll be back to square one. Because here's the thing, as excited as I was, the fact that Bray Wyatt was doing all this great stuff, and people weren't giving the vignettes a chance, and they finally got bought into it, and then he came out as the Fiend, and everyone was impressed, and like, wow, this is so cool, so different. It's going to be back to the same old thing. How long will it take for them to ruin Bray Wyatt, in my opinion? And I feel, people say, opinion is not based on fact, but, from experience, and we've looked at Bray Wyatt from the moment he left NXT to where they've used him and how they've misused him, and a lot of people's opinions, not just mine. I feel right now history is going to repeat itself, unfortunately, at Hell in a Cell.
When you look back to the whole Seth Rollins losing to Brock Lesnar, where I see why they did it, so that he could slay the Beast again at SummerSlam, and also to
prove it wasn't a fluke the first time.
To prove it, maybe. But truly though, it was kind of like a little bump in the road for Seth as a champion, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's obviously crying like a bitch whenever Bray Wyatt's around, scared of Bray Wyatt. But here's my question. If Seth wins, right, what do you think he has now that WWE has decided for him to be the man? And it's crazy when we talk about Seth about being the man, but giving him the ball to roll with it and not Roman Reigns. I mean, it's crazy. No one's complaining about Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? He's in his own thing with Rowan and Luke Harper, and he'll be teaming up with Daniel Bryan. And that's a weird tag team match because, man, I could see that on a SmackDown. Why do I need to get a Hell in a Cell? And it's going to be this huge thing going on where Daniel Bryan turns on Roman Reigns. But what do you think now has been the reason why WWE kind of thinks like Seth is the guy now and Roman isn't?
Well, I think for me, so many years, Jeff, how many times have we liked Seth, especially when he was heel, which in my opinion, I think he works better as a heel anyway.
Of course. I agree with you on that.
I think they were looking at him more in terms of his work rate and how he did. Now, granted, when he was champion beforehand, he wasn't probably projecting the numbers that they wanted, and there was obviously struggles of him being a first-time champion, and then he had to deal with the injury, and then that sidetracked a lot of things. But for me, you know, when you compare Roman and Seth, as much as Roman, from a company standpoint, they want him to be the guy. I think, believe it or not, WWE is they're kind of a little bit tired of the constant back and forth of Roman Reigns, so that's why they're kind of putting him away from the title picture, and in essence, in a sense, trying to rebuild him back up again so that he can be a crowd pleaser, can be a fan favorite. And as for Seth, why is it so important to keep him on him? I think in the standpoint, I think the fans are resenting him to a degree because they don't like this version of Seth Rollins. I can't disagree, but again, it seems like whoever's the champion, people are for, and immediately they want the title off them. Perfect example, Kofi Kingston. People were so excited about Kofi winning it. Has moments now, all right, we want the belt off and we want to put it on somebody else because we don't like what Kofi's doing, etc. I mean, I've heard it. I don't know if you've heard it yourself, but with Seth Rollins, I think the fact is they want to stick to their guns here because they have a guy now who, like Roman Reigns, and people have questioned his in-ring ability, but I don't think anybody's ever questioned Seth Rollins' in-ring ability. He's done really great with a lot of competitors from different sizes, shapes, and styles. So I think they can trust him in that aspect too, and they're wanting to still bite into their investment. They're making an investment in Seth Rollins, and they're going to stubbornly stick with it as much as they stuck with John Cena. In moments where we felt, at best if John Cena dropped the title, they're like, no, we're going to stick this guy because they want to make John Cena very much like Seth Rollins, this resilient, this fighting champion that fights against all the odds, which would be a great marketing tool for all the young kids watching WWE now. So I think that's the reason why they're leaning more towards Seth now. I don't necessarily agree with it because I like to see him more of a heelish type form, but at the same time, this is from a company standpoint why they're doing it.
So I'm going so way off track here because we're talking about Hell in a Cell, but with only 3 matches announced as of now, they'll probably announce it again tonight on the premiere of SmackDown Live on Fox.
Do they have the same theme song, you think?
No. It's
that was annoying.
No, it's AC/DC. It's one of the.
Nice.
It's I forget. It's an AC/DC song that they're using.
Oh, thank God, because the other song was
it was garbage. But then who is the guy? If you don't like Seth, unless he's a heel, and you're not gonna run as a heel as the man in your company, the dude, the guy. Every time I say the man now, it all refers to Becky now, so I got to change my.
Really, for me, I think of Ric Flair. I don't think of Becky Lynch, unfortunately. With all due respect
to Becky. Did you see that now he's a 17-time world champion? It's not 16-time. Now he's a 17-time world champion.
When did that happen?
Part of the negotiation.
Oh,
they get the man, he gets an extra title.
Okay, so he got the man. Okay, I get it now. All right, so John Cena isn't tied with Ric Flair. He's one below him.
Unless that was a typo. But it was a 17-time world heavyweight champion.
How many times have WWE tried to showcase that the fans aren't knowledgeable about it and oh no, he's actually 17-time champion because one time back
Rio de Janeiro is where he won that 17th title.
Or my favorite place, Saskatchewan, Wyoming, they did it, and that's where it happened. But
so if it's not Roman and it's not Seth, who should be the guy? Who should be the top man right now? Who should be the guy whose face is plastered everywhere? If it's not going to be babyface Seth and it's not going to be Roman right now, who is it going to be? I think eventually we'll see Roman.
Yeah, I think so too.
But right now I think he's toiling in mid-card purgatory until WrestleMania season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, and a lot of people think it's favoritism because I like this wrestler so much. I think it's AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles proven no matter what he's had the United States Championship, any title he's had at the WWE Championship, he's proven he's the workhorse. He's the guy right now you can always trust to carry the ball with you. And again, it's not that I'm against Seth Rollins. If they want to go in that direction, fine. They're more than willing to do that. I'm not anxious to get Seth Rollins the title off him. I'm more in terms of his character going in different directions. This whole cookie cutter thing doesn't work for me. But again, if that's what I want to do, that's what I would do. If we need somebody to replace Seth Rollins, it would be AJ Styles. But here's the difference, though. If you put AJ Styles, because we all love AJ, I mean, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, you just love the man. You respect what he does, and he signed a contract. You know for how long this will be his last contract with WWE. So that might be a deciding factor of why we're not putting the title on him again, because we don't know how much longer.
Does he have one more run at least as a champion?
I feel he does, but the thing is, are we going to give him the title and then literally give him the ball and running with it? Because when he was WWE champion, it was such a great run. It was so overshadowed for the mere fact
underrated,
for what Brock Lesnar's doing.
Overshadowed, it's true. It's also underrated as well.
No, but I was agree with you. That was another good word too. It was underrated because people were always worried about the Universal title because it was on that show. So here's the thing: say you're the champion now, and whatever title they want to focus on, you hope you give the same amount of support that you've given Seth and Roman to a guy like AJ. I don't think they did that for him, and quite honestly, I don't think they're doing that for Kofi either. I think Kofi's really getting shafted here because as much as he's trying to be that fighting champion, they're always looking at him as, can he win the big one? Can he over dominate this? Can he beat Randy Orton? Can he now overcome the beast Brock Lesnar? Which I'll dive into who I think would win that one. But it's like, they're not giving the credit they deserve. But when Seth's champion or Roman's champion, because these are the guys that WWE likes, it's different now. They're in a different light. They are a fighting champion. They can overcome this, opposed to if it's Daniel Bryan, it's AJ Styles. Can they overcome the insurmountable odds? I mean, why wouldn't they? They did that to become the champ. They did it to become the man, quote unquote. So, in my opinion, I think it's AJ Styles would be a great fit in terms of carrying this company for as long as he possibly can.
Kofi's had a longer run than I thought. He's probably the greatest story besides women headlining WrestleMania was the Kofi Daniel Bryan match.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a great moment. It was a WrestleMania moment.
A great build up to that match as well.
Really good. And he is playing that underdog story. And what happens tonight? Does he beat Brock Lesnar? Wow, that would be huge. Does Rey Mysterio get payback? Does he interfere? We'll find that out tonight on SmackDown. A lot of people are going to crap on his reign. Yeah. You can if you want, but it's been longer than we thought, though, Trendsetter. And does it end tonight? Unfortunately, now since it's not on Tuesday nights, we're going to have to find out and talk about it on the next show. Does Brock Lesnar become the new WWE champion? And does it make the title once again? Because that title has been kind of, like you said, overshadowed. It's been kind of
like you said, underrated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When it used to be the title, does Brock winning it make that championship the championship now?
Yeah, I spoke about this with a colleague not too long ago. We had the same thing too, and you've mentioned this too several times on the show, Jeff. People want to complain and bitch about Brock Lesnar. Here's the thing: the moment he is officially done with pro wrestling, he goes out to the wilderness and lives there forever, hunting bears and killing, and hunting and stuff like that, and eating animals with his bare hands. They're gonna miss him. Because as much as they want to complain about the Universal title, it was Brock Lesnar that made that title worth something. Because it wasn't defended all the time. And when it was defended, it was something special. And finally, Seth Rollins defeated him. Or more importantly, when Roman Reigns defeated him, and it was being defended over and over again, people were bored with it, and they wanted Brock Lesnar to come back. And he did so. If he does that for the WWE Championship, I think it'd be a great move for the WWE Championship, because then it would give more eyes on it. Especially the fact that now they're on a new network, Fox. I mean, no disrespect to Kofi. I think he's had a great run, too. It's been overshadowed, underrated, very similar to AJ Styles. But if you have Brock Lesnar as your WWE champion, that's going to draw more eyes to watch SmackDown Live, which could be the A show.
And what if and it looks like it's, you got Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Renee Young going there, too.
They're trying to make it more into a sport at SmackDown Live, as opposed to, it seems like Raw is going to be more storylines.
And what about if the next opponent for Brock Lesnar could be Cain Velasquez? What if it's setting up, Cain Velasquez is all about Mexican wrestling, lucha libre. He's done some matches, and
he's looked good in doing it.
And what if he's
looked good? I've seen
really
him.
good,
He's looked
really
good doing it.
For starting out like not too long ago, really good. He's picked it up like And I know you're going to be mad at me when I say this. He's picked up like Ronda a little bit.
I think also like a Kurt Angle or even like a Ken Shamrock, which people fail to give the respect to. Ken Shamrock picked it up pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
He came from the world of MMA, never did it before.
So,
but what do you think?
So think about it though. If they want real sports, Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar to set you up, into the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, don't waste it at Extreme Rules. Don't waste that match at something else. Save it for the Rumble in Chicago. Save it for a Mania. Don't waste it, but lead it up to that or the Royal Rumble. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, they could go that way if Cain Velasquez can come to an agreement. I know they're talking about it. He wants to do something. He's looking at AEW as well. So it's crazy. So Trendsetter. So we both got Bray Wyatt here.
I got Bray. You got Bray. I got Seth winning this one.
And let's go to Seth Rollins' better half, the man, Becky Lynch against Sasha Banks. Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know. I think Sasha's going to do a good job here. She's got a lot of heel heat. But I think Becky Lynch is still the person that WWE sees carrying that title and being like I said, being the face of that division for now. And I think this could be a possible way they decide to give Sasha the title for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I still think that Becky walks away. I'm going to go with my Spidey sense here and say that Becky Lynch retains the title.
Your spider sense is tingling right now?
Oh, it's something.
Oh, you can poke an eye with that thing, Jeff. Be careful. But I would have to agree there because as much as it would be interesting to see Sasha win, and reports and rumors have been out there, Jeff, that she's signing an extension too. So here's the thing: I don't want to hear more complaining from Sasha Banks. If she signed another extension, we don't know for how long.
Congratulations.
No more complaining. You don't want to come to work, then don't come to work, and that's it. No more complaining on your part. You extended your stay there now for a particular reason. But I think again they've had too much invested in Becky Lynch to this point. The whole man thing is been carrying itself fairly well. I mean, I don't know if it's hitting numbers and stuff in terms of merchandise sales or selling at arenas, but again, it works for the WWE. They like using that. They wouldn't have gone as strong to take away that brand from the Nature Boy to use it for Becky Lynch and give him an extra title win. But I think there's so much invested in Becky right now that it doesn't make sense from the WWE standpoint to take the title off. Or I think really honestly a lot of this is building up. And I have no basis behind this. It's just my idea. I think they want Becky to have this dominant reign because they do want to set up the rematch between the singles one-on-one match between Becky and Ronda Rousey if she does decide to come back.
So you're going to have to check that finger, though. Did you see that?
Yeah, it looked bad, really bad. Literally almost off the bone type of thing. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen there. But at the same time, as long as you got 9 fingers, you still got a fighting chance, right? That should be a slogan.
That should be a shirt. Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan against Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
Seriously?
Seriously
here?
Honestly, I think somehow, some way that this can't be the end of Daniel Bryan's heel run because what heel run was it? It was probably one of the most unthought of ways to have Daniel Bryan pushing him as that heel. Yes, it did get heat in the beginning. Yes, people loved the maniacal Daniel Bryan when he turned on AJ Styles and we got this guy and we're like, oh, where's it going? Then you get that garbage of a angle where it could have been so much more, where someone tried to run over Roman Reigns and they effed it up. And now you have Eric Rowan taking it. And look, I like Eric Rowan. Is there anything special about Eric Rowan? I don't know. Somehow he's worked his way into a mid-card, upper mid-card kind of guy. And Luke Harper came out of the blue.
Came out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, and we still got the Bludgeon Brothers, basically, who reunited, and it feels so good. And they're going to take on Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. So, again...
Well, it feels so good for who? Maybe the Bludgeon Brothers, I don't know.
Maybe the Bludgeon Brothers reunite. Yeah, and so... do I have any interest in the match at all? Absolutely not.
No.
Unless,
we have to be honest here, guys. The way it's been built up, and much like you said, Jeff, what they could have done with the fact that, Roman Reigns was being attacked. I think, it worked well for, short term for Buddy Murphy. Now we don't know where he is. He's back in wrestling purgatory.
Oh, yeah, the people that were like, oh, Buddy Murphy, what a run. I love when they push new characters. Remember Buddy Murphy. Remember. Back to mediocrity.
Exactly.
Oh, Ali. Oh, I love Ali. I love this guy. Where is he now?
Back to mediocrity.
Exactly. So remember, guys, remember what they do here. Chad Gable. Oh, I love Chad Gable. Hey, for now, he's in something important. But then, you know what? Again, what are they going to do with Chad Gable? They don't have
a plan. They don't. And, back to what you said about what they could have done with this whole Roman Reigns angle. It could have been so good. Jeff, let's go back. History has a funny way of repeating itself before, too. Remember the whole scenario, Stone Cold Steve Austin getting run over? So many possibilities. So many possibilities. Oh, it could have been Triple H, which everybody thought it was going to be. It could have been maybe a new person right now that we didn't know was going to be signed. But no, Jeff. No, it was Rikishi. It was Rikishi that was the guy who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, and where did that storyline go? Oh, in the annals of WWE history, it went absolutely nowhere, which is what this is going to right now, guys. And we have to be honest. We're not bashing on WWE, but honestly, you have to call a spade a spade.
No, we're just telling you guys. Smoke, do you really want to invest your time? Do you want to invest your time on Sunday, where you could be just relaxing from this great week of pro wrestling? Monday Night Raw, Impact Wrestling, AEW Dynamite, NXT. Then you have Saturdays, you have Friday, you have SmackDown.
How are they going to say Saturday night's main event?
You never know.
Bring that back right now.
WoW Superheroes, then New Japan Pro Wrestling on Saturdays. Sunday, just take is it worth taking the time out and putting on the network and watching Hell in a Cell?
No, I think the only thing you would look forward to in this match, Jeff, is not in terms of match quality, but you want to see Daniel Bryan turn on Roman Reigns. And so now it's like a new version of the Wyatt family. Now you have Daniel Bryan as the leader, and you have Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. That's all I can see happening here. That's the only thing I could see anyone being looking forward to in this match, rather than Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan coming victorious. That's it. So
amazing.
In this one, I got Daniel Bryan turning on Roman Reigns, and the winners are Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, the Bludgeon Brothers of the Wyatt family, whatever you want to call them. I see that happening in this match right now. Roman being made to look now as the underdog.
Yeah, I'm going to make a prediction here, and I'm going to say that Daniel Bryan turns on Roman, so I don't think we get like I think we get maybe like you say a schmaz where like it's like no decision here, and you just get this. But it's crazy though. Usually you have 12 matches and you're complaining, man, this is going to end by 11 o'clock. You only have 3 matches here, and again, we'll find out on SmackDown tonight if we're going to get more matches. But I can't really think of any of the matches you can put together. Maybe another Bayley versus Charlotte. Maybe you're going to get a tag team match. Maybe a New Day versus the Revival again. Or maybe we're going to see maybe the Cruiserweight title will be on the line. You'll see Leo Rush against Drew Gulak. You don't know right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how they fill the rest of the pay-per-view. So there you go. Hell in a Cell 2019, your preview from beautiful Sacramento, California. And now, Trendsetter, something that I'm going to love talking about, and that is the Hell in a Cell retrospective, the top 5 matches of all time, in our opinion here, the Jersey Wrecking Crew. So, how far did you have to go back in your research? Did you know right away which one was number 1? How did you go about doing this when you were trying to rank your top 5?
Well, I think, in all honesty, Jeff, I think when it comes to our list, there'll be certain differences there, but I think ultimately we all know what number 1 is. I feel, at least in my heart, I think anybody listening to the crew will know what number 1 is for all of us. But, I didn't have to go too far back because, I'll correct myself. I did have to go a little bit further back, though, because I feel the more the Hell in a Cell happened, very similar to when you look at cage matches, or you look at now the Elimination Chamber. Now they have a pay-per-view for TLC and Elimination Chamber, and they have a pay-per-view now for Hell in a Cell, which we've been talking about since the start of the show. I think it loses its allure. It loses its luster because the more
Overkill.
times, the reason why we love the holidays or Christmas so much, unless you're Scrooge and you don't like it, because it happens once a year. And if it happened every single time, much like people talked about Brock Lesnar not defending the title, if you constantly saw all the time, you get bored with it, which I think this is the new era now where, back in the day where the title's defended every pay-per-view or every week on Raw or SmackDown or whatever the case might be, was different. I think if we go back to like the 80s and early 90s, the title was really only defended on the pay-per-views when there was only really collectively 6 pay-per-views going on there. So I did have to go back further on this, on my card. And I saw some gems there and some that people might not consider really that like, Brian, why'd you choose that one? But I chose it more from a factor of like first of its kind.
If you did that, then I know I know one is going to include your boy in it. So I already know that. If you're doing that, I know one of them is going to include your guy in there. So let's go. I'll start with numero cinco.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker, No Mercy, 2002. Man, they really did a great job here. Go back, watch it. That's why it's great. You can go to the network and watch this. Again, Brock Lesnar, very underrated. Did so many other things here before, F5ing and suplexing everybody out of the building. Go back and watch that. Undertaker, you'll see here, Undertaker has, you can call Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania. I think by the time this is done, you'll see the Undertaker, you can call him Mr. Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, no question about that, man. I mean, that was a brutal match. Had so much looking forward to. I mean, it was the first time I think we saw Brock Lesnar in the type of predicament where he was actually the underdog going into a match like that. And to see the blood, which, in the term color is really important. They really showcase the fact that it was a brutal fight between the two of them. And, I don't know if it took years off of Brock Lesnar's life, but after that, it was funny because it started the shift and turn of Brock Lesnar being a heel, and people actually cheering him and wanting to be the good guy, which we both know is never a good thing for Brock Lesnar because he's never somebody you want to cheer for. He's somebody you want to root against.
And that was American Badass Taker too, by the way. So as JR used to say, Booger Red. I don't know where he got that.
I don't know where he got that either. That was weird. I was like, where did you get that from?
Yeah, and then of course I think Undertaker had the broken arm or hand, and that became integral in part of making. I
think that's part of the storyline too.
Yeah. So
he was doing a lot of injuries. I mean, Taker does a lot of injuries, especially when he goes into these Hell in a Cell matches.
So that was my number 5.
All right, my number 5, and I know you're gonna shake your head at this, but it's something that I looked at. I'm like, this is the first I've ever seen of something like this. Before we start getting to the crazy scenario of teams being part of Hell in a Cell. I have to go back to 2000, Jeff, of December for Armageddon, and that was when you had the 6-man Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship. Kurt Angle was the champion at the time. You had The Rock, you had The Undertaker, you had Triple H, you had Stone Cold, you had Rikishi, and you had Kurt Angle in it, and like all these major top stars. And the crazy spots it did where Rikishi was on top of the cage, fell back into a truck filled with hay, and that was such a dangerous spot. And the craziness about that, because this is the first time ever you didn't see just one-on-one. You saw basically 6 of the top stars in the WWE. And I'll include Rikishi in that because, he was trying to get himself to that level. But my goodness, you never saw so many people in such a grueling match like that before. I thought storyline-wise, it was a little chaotic because a lot of it was based on Stone Cold trying to get retribution for being run over by Rikishi. That was still there. But again, the whole fact that, they were trying to build Kurt Angle for the longest time. Well, not for the longest time, but they're trying to build Kurt Angle as this credible champion. What better way to defeat some of the top stars in the company in a single match and walk out as the champion? So I think that was my top 5 in terms of Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, Kurt Angle could definitely hold his own. And of course, you remember that from the theme song, "The End Is Near," right? Everyone thought it was like, who sings that? And it was basically a WWE-based song, too.
Pretty good, though.
Yeah, really good. Really, I used to love it, man. And I don't know if Jim Johnson was the guy that did it, too. And he's actually made PCO's theme song for him at Ring of Honor. Man, just, and now they're not working with CFO anymore. Man, I really wish they could work with Jim Johnston again, WWE, because he really was the his music really told a lot of the story for a lot of the superstars. So, he had
that innate gift where the music really went along with the character of what you wanted to, and he explained it really well too in a lot of his documentaries in which he kind of talked about it, especially one particular one about the Ultimate Warrior and how he wanted this phonetic energy, and that the music really went along with the character.
Number 4, Edge and The Undertaker SummerSlam 2008. Okay. This was really good. Again, showed you just how special Edge was as a performer. Undertaker, again, is involved in this Hell in a Cell match. And
what a surprise,
right? What a surprise. And I will say that this makes it to up there for me because it was just a hell of an entertaining match here.
It was, and like I said, and I think a lot of these things that you and I are talking about are about, you mentioned Brock Lesnar, I talked about Kurt Angle, and now we're talking about Edge. A lot of these matches, as brutal as they've been, Jeff, have really done a great job of showcasing certain talent. They're never looked at a certain way before, and then you put them in a grueling match like this, and all of a sudden you see them in a different light, and this was definitely a great stepping stone not that it was an easy stepping stone, but one for Edge to kind of showcase the fact that he can be a single star. He can be a guy that you could base a company off and put a company on his shoulders. So I think it was a great pick there, and ultimately one that led Edge to where he is now as a Hall of Famer.
All right, Trendsetter. So let me go now to number 3.
Well, let me give you my number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My number 4 would have to be a great storyline of one of I'm sure the 3 faces of Foley, Cactus Jack, and that was Triple H versus Cactus Jack at No Way Out in Hartford, Connecticut. My goodness, I mean, how is Mick Foley walking now is not only just a miracle in itself. The fact that this was going to be Mick Foley's, supposedly it was supposed to be his final match because he was going to retire and his career was on the line. And we were all hoping, I know I was at least at that time, hoping for Cactus Jack to defeat Triple H. Triple H had built himself in such an incredible heel champion. He so badly wanted him to lose the belt, and you pay money to see it, to go in a grueling match like this. And I think this was the first time Triple H was in a Hell in a Cell match, too. So it was first for him. We knew the history between him and Mick Foley and the grueling matches between him and Cactus Jack. So this is Cactus Jack actually coming back out. It wasn't Mankind or Mick Foley. It was Cactus Jack, which, again, added another layer to the rivalry and a layer to the storyline. And then that final spot where Triple H takes Cactus Jack on top of the cage, gives him a back suplex. He falls through the top of the cage, and it was not planned. He fell through the cage and basically broke the bottom of the ring. Folks, and that is layered with 2x4s, and it shattered him from that height, pinned him 1, 2, 3 of the pedigree, and that was supposedly the end of Cactus Jack, a.k.a. Mick Foley's career. Wow, what a great way to end a story there. And then also at the same time, we're talking about building guys, it also helped build Triple H. Not only was he this jerk and this purebred, but he was an ass kicker too, and he could take it, but he could also dish one out to a guy like Cactus Jack. So that was my number 4.
Yeah, I think that one really kind of like solidified Triple H as a top heel. And Mick Foley, Cactus Jack was so giving in that match, really, of himself and his body. And that was the one where you could stamp Triple H as legitimate as the guy. And you see Stephanie McMahon there, sadistic look when Mick Foley crashes down there. That's when you realize, man, Stephanie can be really, cold-hearted as well.
She gets that from her father. Great facial.
Really, I think made Triple H. And for me, that was number 3. So to me, that made it really on my list of number 3. So right up there with Triple H and Cactus Jack, No Way Out 2000. Certainly a really memorable Hell in a Cell. So since that was my number 3, Trendsetter, what was your number 3?
Well, my number 3 would be, as you said, one of my boys. Judgment Day of 2002. It was Triple H versus Chris Jericho. And the reason why I like this so much is because, not for the fact that, and I don't think it did anything to change people's perceptions of Chris Jericho. I think he got a lot of that when he first came into the company, faced Triple H in a last man standing match. You saw a different side of Chris Jericho. He wasn't just the comedic, witty banter, get you back with one-liners type of guy. He could be an ass kicker as well. But I think what I loved about this too is that, this storyline was based on a lot of truths. Because around that time, and you heard a lot on Jericho's podcast too, when he had Triple H on, during that time they really didn't like each other. They're like kind of pitted against each other, and a lot of it had to do with Vince. And the mere fact that they didn't really like each other bled into the storylines. We know what happened, when him pairing up with Stephanie McMahon, his arch rival, to go against Triple H, and obviously Triple H overcoming the quad injury to become undisputed champion, defeating Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. But then that continued on with this hatred between the two, which came to a head at Hell in a Cell, which is the only way you could have ended this rivalry between the two. And I thought it was just great. That's where we had the 2x4 set on fire, and Jericho was hit with the barbed wire bat or 2x4 or sledgehammer, whichever one it was, and you saw him. The way it was built up and the way it kind of ended was kind of a way, all right, cool. This is a nice little stamp on this rivalry, which was based on a lot of heat between the two of them. I think both of them handled it really well, and both of them showcased too the mere fact that both of them can be top stars. So that was my number 3.
My number 2, Trendsetter, and I think it's a lot of people's number 2, is King of the Ring, Undertaker versus Mankind.
Yes, I would agree.
Everyone's gonna remember the Undertaker throwing Mankind off the top of the cell.
I still watch it from time to time to hear that reaction from Jim Ross, who was not expecting that to happen.
No, and Mick Foley's story about the shoes, about Terry Funk.
Okay, I'll tell the story in a second. Yeah,
and you think about that stuff, and you can laugh now, but man, when you're watching that, you're seriously wondering. And then when you see Cactus Jack take the punishment he did against Triple H in that Hell in a Cell, and you're like, man, I mean, after doing this matchup with The Undertaker, King of the Ring, to do that next match was crazy. But just the stuff that happened here, and just the story, again, if you go to Untold and you see the King of the Ring and you talk about Mick Foley, they talk about it there. And those hidden gems on the network that you should look at. Man, I'm telling you, man, it is just, Vince McMahon then telling me, Foley, backstage, I never want to see you do that, that stuff again. Only to do that maybe a couple of years later with Triple H.
Exactly.
But man, I'm just telling you, man, like the balls on Mankind. And two, the backstory is that they have already done a lot of matches between them. This is a rivalry that kind of was like, they kind of try to pick up, after like about a year without a match between them.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can we make this kind of like stale rivalry right now? How can we make this...
They've kind of done everything
how
at
can
that
we
point.
Boiler room brawls, buried alive? What can we do? Undertaker had a bad ankle. So what can we do here? And man, they went above and beyond. That was probably one of the most emotional nights in Pittsburgh ever for a wrestling event. And that is my number 2, Mankind vs. Undertaker.
That was my number 2 too. And let me add on to that, Jeff, the mere fact that this was the only second ever Hell in a Cell on a pay-per-view for King of the Ring. So they had a lot to live up to. And when you look at it, for a lot of it, most people say the standard bearer is the first one. But we had this, you had that pressure on it as well, because people already know what to expect. It's a lot different when people don't know what to expect after something when it's the first time you've done it. So, the bar isn't set for you. But the bar is set really high. And so I'm sure that Mankind felt the pressure, which he wanted to make not only the rivalry kind of, take it to another level, but then do this. But yeah, what I think most about it too is not only him falling off the cell and Undertaker pushing him off and people not really expecting that, and me really being concerned for Mick Foley's well-being. Who cares about the character Mankind? Literally thinking that he had died.
Yeah.
Because that's how that fall was terrible. And then as the match continued, and he was being stretchered off to come back and to go back on top of the cage and then be chokeslammed through the cage and fall into the ring with the steel chair hitting his mouth, ripping out his tooth.
Yeah, and then trying to do that by sticking his tongue out between his...
Yeah,
that's...
And the simplistic thing of him just trying to stick his tongue to see where the gap it was, you saw this sadistic smile on him, which is never intentional. And those are the rare gems, too, Jeff, that you were talking about before, that you don't ever really plan for. They just happen naturally. And those are the ones we always remember. And I remember him sticking the tongue out and looked like he was smiling when he really wasn't, but it was like, oh my goodness. And then obviously the backstory of Terry Funk going in there checking on his friend Cactus Jack, and Taker being Taker and staying in character, takes Terry Funk and then chokeslam him literally out of his shoes. And the whole story was, folks, that he did it, and all of a sudden Terry Funk takes a huge terrible chokeslam bump, rolls out of the ring, they're helping him out of the ring. All of a sudden all Mick Foley can think of, because there's no question he was concussed, he turns around and he looks like, where did those shoes come from? And then he asked Terry Funk. Terry Funk's like, he chokeslammed me out of my shoes. It was that good, man, in terms of the backstory.
Sucking dog.
Exactly. But there's no question it's number 2, which leads me, Jeff, to my number 1. And I'm you're gonna. Well, yes, I can't give you all the glory in the show. Right? So it goes to my number 1. I'll keep it short. I'll give you
no. Because I will say this, Trendsetter. I think we're gonna agree on what it is. So I will tell you with this one thing. There's some matches that stand the test of times.
Yes.
That, like, for example, we'll talk about one ladder match. The Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, right?
Yes.
At All Out. Great matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon did wasn't as much as what happened in this matchup, but yet that is the standard bearer. That is the Holy Grail. That is the one that stands the test of time, the ladder match at WrestleMania 10.
Because there's the first one, too.
Exactly. So and you can only have one, right?
Yeah.
So, Trendsetter, without further ado, you're number 1, because to me this one will stand the test of time.
And I think if you put 100 people down to make a list of it, they will all come out 99.9, 100% of the time. They'll come out with number 1, and that will be at Bad Blood in Your House, 1997, first ever Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Jeff said it perfectly. It withstood the test of time. The first of its kind. We didn't know what we were going to expect as fans going into this. The rivalry between these two had built up so much that you couldn't fathom anything else. It couldn't be a regular steel cage match. It had to be a cell with a roof on top of it, which you've never seen before. And I'll take it back, guys, to the point of the fear of not just most likely from the performers, from the fans, of what's going to happen here. You don't know. To see them work within it to get out and then start scaling the top of the cage.
The psychology of this match.
It was unbelievable. And there's no game plan for that. There's no psychology. It's never happened before. So what kind of psychology could you have for a Hell in a Cell? And dangerously, I remember watching it, and I was watching it with you, of how my hands were getting cold, and I was literally getting nervous the closer Shawn Michaels is getting towards the edge of the cage.
I miss those days.
Very rarely do we get those moments
Very
nowadays.
rarely.
They do happen, but very few and far between. And then ultimately, not only that, Shawn Michaels taking that bump from hanging from the cage, not like a Mick Foley. It was a little bit less intense, but still falling from the cage into the table. Undertaker taking him back into the ring. Looked like it was all over, and the lights go out. You see this ominous red glare all over, like you're literally
if you're home, you hear, "That's gotta be Kane!"
Exactly.
Right?
Man's classic hail, like screaming, "That's gotta be Kane." And I was finally realizing, oh my goodness, this is the Undertaker's long-lost brother that we thought was dead in the storyline. It comes in, looks bigger than the Undertaker, literally rips the door off the cage cell, and then delivers the tombstone to the Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels walks out with the victory. My goodness, there's so many good things I could say about this, Jeff, but I'd just say, you couldn't have picked two better people to have done it. Two better people that could work so well with each other. Even down the road, when we looked back at the WrestleMania matches towards the tail end of Shawn Michaels' career where Undertaker defeated him, it was all about the streak. These two worked magic. Every time they were in the ring, it was magic. And we saw a huge portion of that, too, and something that, like you said, stood the test of time.
It started at the ground zero in your house. It was only going to be a one-time thing. It was so good, they had to do it again.
Boy, were they wrong on that one.
Then you wanted to see Shawn Michaels get his ass kicked in this humongous contraption known as Hell in a Cell. And, man, Shawn Michaels' performance was amazing. You wanted to see get his ass kicked. Then he comes back. You make it believable that he can beat The Undertaker. Then they go to the top. You got to go outside. What a great storyline to get the cameraman injured so that they had to open the cell. Because you're like, how are they going to get it open, right?
Exactly.
That's a great way to do it. They come out. Of course, Shawn Michaels draws the blood, which always adds to a match. They go to the top. Undertaker follows. He gets thrown, onto the commentary desk, and then Shawn Michaels gets his ass beat. And then, of course, secondary, it also is the debut of Kane, and Kane comes out, and then God knows Kane's character for 20 years has been maybe Vince McMahon's third best creation ever. So you talk about Undertaker being his greatest creation. I think, Hulkamania as well. Vince McMahon had a hand in that. And Kane's got to be up there on Vince McMahon's greatest creations because...
it's fair to say.
Yeah, so obviously Vince loves Kane, the character, because he's also stood the test of time. There's always been different reincarnations, but I think Vince McMahon loves the character, holds a special place in his heart for the character Kane. So that was a tremendous pay-per-view. Maybe one day when we have free time, Trendsetter, we could do a whole podcast on Bad Blood. A lot of people now want to hear that old stuff. They want to go back. They want to get that nostalgia. So, we did a little, a Hell in a Cell retrospective here at Top 5 Greatest Matches. Maybe one day we'll just do one on Bad Blood because you had so much stuff going on there. Again, the death of Brian Pillman before the show. Yeah. You had just the whole Bret Hart, knowing he was losing his heel. Number one heel spot to Shawn Michaels. You had Bret Hart and the Patriot there in that matchup for the flag match.
I love how you bring that up too, in terms of that was the one time that I can remember early on in my youth of watching wrestling, where the first time I can remember the W Championship was not the main event. Mm-hmm. And the reason why Shawn Michaels took that spot, saying, you know what, top that, because I am now, in a sense, and people could disagree with me or not, that I'm bigger than the WWE Championship because I am that good. He was the European champion at that time. The European title was not on the line, but yet he was the main event of Bad Blood.
An excellent
and
point.
Not Bret Hart.
Wow. Yep. It's true. It is true. And
wow, reminiscing, man, of good times, bro. You said it yourself, too.
It's awesome.
You miss those days. You miss those moments.
The only other two times that I've had that is being at WrestleMania personally for the Daniel Bryan push at WrestleMania 30
in New Orleans.
New Orleans, and the other time was CM Punk at Money in the Bank against John Cena. Whether he was going to take that title with him while he had his contract, the whole CM Punk thing.
Yes.
Those are the only two other times where I was like, at the edge of my seat. And then I look at the highlights of that matchup between Shawn and Undertaker, and to realize that, 10 years later, they're going to have an amazing matchup at WrestleMania 25 and 26.
Twice, yeah.
Man, how could that not be one of the best rivalries in WWE history?
And not just one of the best rivalries. I feel like two of the best performers of all time.
Yeah, it was magic when they went to the ring. A smaller guy who wasn't ominous, but could stand toe-to-toe with The Undertaker.
Yeah, he was that pit bull mentality. And it's the classic story, Jeff, right, that we see time and time again. People are like, oh, we want something different, but it always works. We have David versus Goliath. You have this Undertaker, this undead being against a guy who doesn't know he's the smallest dog in the fight, right? And he's willing to fight just as hard and doesn't worry and doesn't care about his body, which kind of led to his retirement early on in their casket match of the Royal Rumble. But, yeah, just a great testament of these two great performers who will go down, not only in my opinion, as the greatest WWE performers, but one of the top 5 greatest performers of all time.
Trendsetter, I saw Shawn Michaels, didn't have to do much, but he's still so good.
Yeah.
And
his ability to showcase his emotion via TV.
Freaking good.
You felt everything he was feeling all the time.
Yeah, man.
Which is what made him a great performer.
I mean, man, I had a hell of a time doing this, man. No pun intended with Hell in a Cell. It is this Sunday, guys. Do you guys want to watch football or do you guys want to watch Hell in a Cell? We'll leave that up to you guys. But Hell in a Cell is this Sunday on the network. You can catch that. Again, you can get Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch the Man versus Sasha Banks. I'm sure they're going to add more matches. What a week in wrestling it's been, Trendsetter, man. It's been amazing. And
you know what?
We're so lucky, man.
The cool thing about it now, because we've been on hiatus for a couple of weeks, but no more.
No.
We get to do this all again next week.
No excuses, Trendsetter. We'll have a Hell in a Cell recap. Preview AEW Dynamite. Not preview, recap it. Really get in depth with that as well. Trendsetter, I want to hear your thoughts on
another
AEW.
Historic event.
Yeah, Raw and SmackDown. Wow, Trendsetter. Of course, Ring of Honor doing great things. New Japan doing great things. Impact Wrestling is on Access TV. They're on their Tuesday nights. MLW is tremendous. Going to be doing a lot of stuff for MLW as far as coverage on that as well. So, Trendsetter, it just keeps getting better and better. And yes, no more hiatus. We are back. We are back. We are back.
Yes, we're back, folks. And we'll be back next week. As for you listening to the High Spot Podcast, if you think you guys, make sure you listen to us on bodyslam.net. Also follow us at highspotpodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. We love a like there, support there. We appreciate it. Also, you can also listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, where all great podcasts are available to the Shining Wizards podcast. The Shining Wizards Network as well. We enjoy them showing us their support as well. And that's it, guys. We're getting ready for next week. Another round going in. It never ends now. It's 24/7, 365, and we enjoy bringing it to you guys.
And congratulations to LAX, Santana, and Ortiz. We saw them in Battle Club Pro say their goodbyes, and man, to see them, on AEW, very happy for two great dudes.
Two great guys who, honestly, and I know it's cliche and I've said it before, but, a lot of people don't deserve things in life. Those two have definitely earned their ability and have earned their spots of where they are now. And Jeff and I, for the Jersey Wrecking Crew, can only wish them all the success in the world because we know they're going to shine like the stars that they are. So, for the Jersey Wrecking Crew, for the Scoundrel, Jeff Martin, I am the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week to recap all your favorite stuff and keep up with our shenanigans as well. Because remember, guys, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.